Welcome. In this video, I am going to talk about the blended learning, a sustainable education system for 2020. Because during COVID-19, we are facing many problems. So we have to look for a sustainable education system which can work in 2020 as well as 2021. This is the outline of my video. Overview about the blended learning, then the features of the blended learning, the difference between blended learning and flipped classroom. Let's look at the overview of blended learning. So blended learning is use of more than one learning method inside or outside the classroom. Normally we believe that the learning takes place only inside the classroom, but it is not true. Most of the learning takes place outside the classroom. If you blend the inside learning with the outside learning, it will be more effective. Let's see which are the different items which we can blend in this learning system. The first one is the instructional methods. You can make use of the mix of different instructional methods such as lecturer, discussion, guided practice, reading, games, case study, and simulation. So you can make use of mix of this for delivering the effective lecturers. Next is delivery method. You can blend live classroom or computer mediated classroom with the physical classroom. Even scheduling is also, you can mix up synchronous and asynchronous learning methods. So different levels of guidance is also there. That also you can blend it. That is individual, instruction or expert led or group or social learning. So in this way, so we can blend instructional methods, delivery methods, scheduling and level of guidance. So this mixing of these, we call it as a blended learning. Present situation, I blended learning, I focus it on online resources and plus the virtual classroom which we are conducting online using different digital platforms. In normalcy, so this can be treated as online courses, resources and physical interaction of the students with the teacher. Let's see that one. What are the things we can blend it? Schedule we can blend it, guidance we can blend it, technology we can blend it, and participation also we can blend it. This is a graphical representation of the same thing, showing you can blend everything with other. Let's look at what are the features of blended learning. The online teaching in normal courses, presently I refer it as online resources during this COVID-19. The study material is always available to the students. Student can learn at his own pace. If he is a fast learner is there, he can quickly understand the things which has been given in the online resources in the form of PPT, in the form of PDF notes, or it may be in the form of a video one. If the student is a slow learner, so he can learn it at a lower speed because he has a flexibility to learn when he is alert. So similarly, the low learner student can take many breaks while going through the learning materials. So online resources or the digital form of study material is help the students to learn at their own pace. So the interaction between teacher and student in virtual classroom or in a physical classroom, gives many benefits. Basically, it leads to the active learning. So when the student and teacher makes an interaction, it creates an environment for participation of the students. So students need to apply the knowledge to solve the problems, because in using online platform and using the online resources material, students are already familiar with the study material or the topic. In classroom, straight away they can discuss or they can implement the application of the knowledge. So teacher can help the students in achieving the higher order cognitive levels. The another advantage is of what you call conducting interaction in virtual classroom or in physical classroom. It leads to the cooperative learning or collaborative learning. Initially, you have to push the students for this kind of learning methods. Once the student becomes familiar with that one, then automatically these cooperative learning and collaborative learning will become a driving force for the blended learning. Student can learn how to work in a group, because when they join companies, again they are supposed to work in teams. Individually you can achieve very less. So teacher can guide them when they most needed. These are the few features of blended learning. So one more comparison we can make between the blended learning with the traditional one. In traditional method, students get instruction one time in classroom, and all the students will move to the next topic regardless of whether students understood or not. This is what happens in traditional one. We deliver the lecture in a classroom where 60 to 70 students are there. So we deliver it once, and next class when we go to the classroom, we start the new topic. It means students will move with some gap in the knowledge itself. Basically, it is all happens with respect to the time. If you talk about the blended learning method, in blended learning method, student can view the instruction as many times as he want, or still he understands it, because the material he has been supplied in online platforms or using learning management systems. Student can learn on their pace, so he moves only when he is ready with the topic. Because in classroom, we are conducting interactions rather than simply lecturing or delivering the information in the classroom. This will make students to prepare themselves before they come to the classrooms. So students can only move to the next topic when he masters it. So in simple terms, traditional learning is based on time, and blended learning will based on mastery. Why we should go for the blended learning? The purposes listed by me are here, because blended learning involves students in active learning. It helps the students to develop the critical thinking, which is a higher order cognitive learning skill as per Bloom's taxonomy. The another purpose is to expose students to the modern technology and its practical applications. Nowadays, all companies are providing the trainings on online itself. So it's necessary for students to get exposed to the new modern method of training or learning system. So it helps in accomplishing the course outcomes. It exposes students to the alternative learning methods, because some student may like online teaching, some student may like offline teaching, some student may love to learn it from video, some student may love to read it by going through the PPT or the test material. So students will get a flexibility to select their own method of learning which they feel suits for them. It leads to the cooperative learning, and It promotes the self-learning because it gives confidence to the students that he can learn the what you call lower order thinking on itself, and application he can discuss with the teacher. And the one of the most important part of the blended learning is that one. So we will promote the student for the lifelong learning. This is one of the program objectives of all engineering courses. So blended learning definitely push students for lifelong learning. These are the types of the blended learning. I am not going to explain about each one. I have written here as flipped classroom, slightly separate from the main group. So let's see what is the difference between blended learning and flipped classroom. Blended learning, basically it's a combination of various learning methods in classroom, or it can be used outside the classroom. Whereas flipped classroom is 180-degree shift in traditional education. It means in traditional education, we deliver the content in the classroom and we ask students to do the homework. So what happens in the classroom is that one, we deal with the lower order thinking and we ask the student to solve the problems which are given as an assignment, which will be normally of higher order thinking. It means flipping what activity happens in the classroom, that activity will be shifted to the home. The activity which is to be carried out in the home, it will be shifted to the classroom. In blended learning, so we try to replace the traditional things with the technology or with some aid. So suppose say that one delivery of the content in traditional we are using the oral presentation and writing it on the blackboard. Now it can be replaced with the PPTs. So this is the difference. This is the important point about the blended learning. So we can substitute the traditional things with modern things. Whereas in flipped classroom, the lower order thinking activities will be carried out at the home itself, because the students will get the material in online. Students supposed to go through the material, the lower cognitive levels such as remembering and understanding of the topics. This is to be done by the student at his home itself. So in homework, it is a behavioristic approach is there. So once the students are familiar with the remembering and understanding of the what you call the topic, where they come to the classrooms, so where they apply the knowledge which they were remembering, the knowledge which they understood it for the practical purposes. In classroom, the teacher will help the students to apply the knowledge which they gained it in their house. So this is an added advantage, because when we try to achieve the higher order cognitive levels, automatically any lapses or any gaps in the lower order thinking activity, they will also be covered. So blended learning is a mix of lower order and higher order thinking. There is no clear-cut categorization is there in case of blended learning. And in blended learning, there is no specific theory of learning is there. Whereas in flipped classroom, it is categorically said that lower order thinking should be covered in home and higher order thinking activity should be done in classroom. And in classroom, their students are supposed to solve the problem using the cooperative learning and collaborative learning. Because when students work in collaboration, so that leads to the what we call it as a constructive approach. So these are the differences between blended learning and the flipped classroom. The flipped classroom can be effectively implemented if 100% online system is available. The blended learning, definitely it can be used at any time. During this COVID-19, So blended learning is the most effective purpose and which is the feasible method. So we can mix up all the things. It is not necessary that all the whole topics which are there in a particular course are to be dealt in a similar manner. Some topics you can use the e-learning method. Some topics you can use asynchronous method. Some topics you can use using the higher order thinking, asking students to complete the lower order thinking at their home. So in this way, the blended learning will become a sustainable education system during the COVID and even after the COVID. This is some more differences pictorially I try to present it. Blended learning, it may be a combination of physical presence of the teacher with PPT. This is the normal process and almost everybody is making use of it. So we can have a flexi type of blended learning system. Give instruction in classroom, ask students to do the homework online, or teach online and ask the student to do the homework, or supply the lower order thinking material to students to the online using the learning management system. When you conduct a online classes using Google Meet or Zoom, there you can discuss about the higher order thinking. Virtual classroom is the one where you can do all kinds of activities which you used to do it in a offline classroom. Whereas in a flipped classroom, categorically what is to be done before classroom, during classroom and after the classroom is been well defined. So these are the few differences between blended learning and flipped classroom learning. Remember, flipped classroom learning is part of the blended learning. During COVID, teacher and students become well versed with the technology. So hence the implementation of blended learning becomes easy. Learned how to use online platform, synchronous learning. Digital literacy has enhanced. So even students and teacher came to know about the demands and challenges of online classes. So these are the few challenges. Maintaining alertness is difficult. Interconnectivity is an issue. Money we have to spend it on the data. So no time for the homework because whole day will be spent on attending the online classes. So maintaining time is also a challenge, and assessment, and it is generally felt that the total online system is less effective. Let's unlock the unsustainable system. A sustainable system need to be effective system, sustainable, less costly, can work in normalcy also. So if you use the blended learning, definitely it will benefit all the stakeholders. The added advantage of using the blended learning, it will create an environment for implementation of student-centric method, personalized learning method, outcome-based education method, the documentations which are required for NBA, NAC and CBCSE system, and definitely this make students industry ready. These are the few benefits to the stakeholders. Student get flexibility in learning, faculty deliver effectively, college will have a sustainable system, and parents will be happy because their wards are industry ready. Some more issues, faculties feel it is a more work. Of course, it is a more work at the initial because we are not converted all our content into digital form. So digitization takes time, but once it is digitized, it can be reused as many times as you want. So this will give you an opportunity to organize the things in a better way. So definitely it will become a building block for OBE, NBA and other accreditation activities. So monitoring will also become easy because we are supposed to make use of learning management systems such as Google Classroom, Schoolji, Edmodo for the delivery of the content on online. So students will be need not to worry about the internet connectivity because we can blend synchronous and asynchronous learning methods in instruction-led method and self-led method. So in this way, the student will get flexibility. So administration part is also, it is easy to track the process. We can identify the lapses because when we use a learning management system, there will be a one-to-one interaction will be there between the teacher and the students. So definitely it will help the teachers to identify the lapses. Similarly, it will give an opportunity for the students to express his difficulties in person with the teachers. In blended learning and what you call with flipped classroom, the role of faculties and students changes. Faculty now has to spend more time on design and curriculum. He has to design the different instructional methods, and he has to blend those instructional methods depending upon the availability of the resources. Teacher has to set high expectations for the students, and he has to create an environment where students can participate in learning. So faculty has to provide an expanded opportunity for the students. So whereas students should get involved in organizing the content apart from remembering and understanding, which they do it in traditional teaching and learning process. Students supposed to summarize and discuss in the cooperative learning and collaborative learning. Students are supposed to solve on their own, so which will be helped by the teachers. Students are to adopt the active learning methods. Students have to think at a higher order thinking process. So these are the roles of the faculty and the students in blended learning. So without your involvement, you cannot succeed. With your involvement, you cannot fail. So hence get involved in blended learning. Thank you for watching this video.